You ever notice how the quietest person in the office isn't always the most miserable one? That's actually what got me thinking about this whole thing. People look at someone like me, someone who eats lunch alone, skips the after-work drinks, doesn't really pursue anything outside the job, and they assume something went wrong. They think it's loneliness. They think it's failure. They think I can't connect with people. But here's the thing nobody talks about. It's not that we can't. It's that at some point we stopped wanting to spend the energy. There is a specific type of person I'm talking about. You'll find them in every corporate building, every open plan office, every 9 to 6 grind. They show up. They do the work. They're professional, even friendly. But outside of that, they keep it contained. They don't chase connections. They don't really date. They don't build deep friendships with coworkers. Most people call it isolation. I'd call it something a lot more calculated than that. The first thing that changes you in corporate life is emotional exhaustion. And I don't mean tired. I mean the kind of drained where you come home, sit on your couch, and the idea of having a real conversation with another human being feels like running a marathon with no shoes on. By the time 5 o'clock hits, you've already managed 12 personalities, 3 passive-aggressive emails, and 1 meeting that could have been a text. You got nothing left. 0 emotional bandwidth. And the cruel part, you still have to show up and do it again tomorrow. The second thing is what I call social energy accounting. Every interaction costs something. Small talk with the receptionist, nodding through a team briefing, laughing at your manager's joke. That wasn't funny, all of it adds up. After years of this, you start getting real selective about where that energy goes. Pursuing a relationship, building a friendship from scratch, those things require deposits you don't have anymore. So you stop making them, not because you're broken, because you've learned what things actually cost. Then there is the trust thing. Corporate environments teach you really fast that people are strategic. You watch people get thrown under the bus in meetings. You see how fast loyalty disappears when a promotion's on the table. You stop believing that people are connecting with you just because they want to. And once that kind of suspicion gets into your head, it doesn't just stay at the office. It bleeds into everything. You start reading motives in people outside of work too. That's when the walls go up, and they mostly stay there. At some point, a lot of us started building our whole identity around the career, the title, the output, the performance review. When your job becomes your personality, there is genuinely no room left for another person. Not because you're selfish, because you've spent so long optimizing for professional survival that personal life started to feel like a distraction you couldn't afford. Here's the reframe that most people miss. Staying alone isn't the same as being lonely. For a lot of corporate workers, solitude is protective. It's the one environment where you don't have to manage anyone else's emotions, expectations, or needs. It's the only space in the day that belongs fully to you. And after spending 40+ hours a week being everything to everyone at work, that space isn't emptiness, it's oxygen. What this does to you long-term is subtle but real. You get more comfortable in your own company than in anyone else's. Friendships start to feel high maintenance. Relationships start to feel like another job. Your emotional reactions at work get flatter because you've learned that feeling things openly just makes you vulnerable. Over time, your whole framework for connection quietly shifts. You don't stop caring, you just stop reaching. And that's what I think people get wrong about the person eating alone in the break room. They assume something's missing, but maybe what's actually happening is something more complicated. Maybe that person figured out that in a world that takes everything you've got from 9 to 5, the most radical thing you can do is protect what's left. That's Berlin. And if this kind of corporate psychology actually makes sense to you, subscribe. Because there is a whole lot more where this came from.